Hello there, welcome to this video on surveying Orienteering maps. I'm standing at a track junction, which is a well-defined point on the base map, and I'm going to start surveying this area on the woods on my left. I'll start by pace counting down this path, counting every second pace. So in my case it would be every time my right foot hits the ground, I'll count paces. So, after walking 57 paces down the path, I discovered this ruined wall on the left, which I now intend to survey. If I'm just using a notepad, then I simply write in number 57, the word ruined wall, and I define this point to be A1. I'm then going to turn it over and start a new sheet, starting at A1, and that will be where I'm going to survey the ruined wall in my notebook. In this case I'm using a copy of the map with a transparent sheet over it, so I can survey directly to the sheet. So 57 paces is almost exactly 100 metres in my pace count, which is 20 millimetres on this map, so I'm going to mark it directly onto my sheet. Now I need to take a bearing along the length of the ruined wall with my sighting compass. I make that 177 degrees. And I draw that directly onto the transparent sheet using my compass. This is where I've sketched on the start of the ruined wall. I'm just using the notebook, then I simply write the degrees directly into the notes. Now I'm going to proceed to pace count up the wall to the next point I want to measure. After 15 paces, the wall took a sharp bend to the right. We'll now go and record that. I've already made a note of that in my notebook. According to my cheat sheet, 15 paces is, let's see, that's about 5 millimetres, so I'll just draw that on. So what happens is the line I drew is exactly the right length, so that's perfect. Now I'll go up there and repeat the procedure. So it turns out the ruined wall goes a short distance and then doubles back on itself. Normally you wouldn't want to record such a short distance, but it's unavoidable in this case because it's such a sharp bend. You can't average this out, which is what you normally like to do. So I'll measure this short section and then start with the next section. First I'm just going to do it with a notebook. So that's 270 degrees. It turns to 308 degrees. Again, I'll put that straight on the transparent sheet. Here you can see the ruined wall drawn on, and I've just put RW next to it to remind myself what it is when I get back after a long day surveying and can't remember what it was on surveying. So I guess you can guess what's going to happen next. I'm going to place the camp back down the wall to the next point, which I can actually see it bends to the left back by the path. So that was 20 places, which according to my sheet is 7mm. So I'll just draw that on. Now, because the walls end up back at the path, I'm going to go back and just carry on down the path, because I've just made 3 separate measurements. By now I'm going to be getting quite inaccurate. To be more accurate, just to place the camp along the path and use that as my measuring. The more measurements you make with bearing and placing, the more inaccurate you're going to be. So if you carry on making lots and lots of them, then you just build up errors. So always look for places to avoid doing that if you can, and look for another fixed point. In this case, I trust placing down the path more than I do 3 lots of bearing and placing in the woods. So I'm going to use that. So I'm back on the path where at the start of the ruined wall. I'm going to pace along to where the wall comes back close to the path, count those paces, and carry on pace counting along the path. So, I carried on surveying down this path. The wall carried on my left. I spotted a path on the right and 2 crags on the right. Eventually came to path junction, and I was able to survey the path, survey the ruined wall, because it just carried on my left, and so I didn't need to record much more, just to record the position of the wall. And because the ruined wall just carried on next to me, I just sketched that in. At this point there's a path junction. I just walked down the path, so in order to measure this wall I just need to measure that distance, and that's good enough to get that wall in. I noted a couple of crags and the path going off to my right as well, which I'll have to survey later. Right, now I'm going to repeat that entire procedure using the ones of GPS. I have a portable computer here with OCAD fired up. I've connected to GPS, and if you look very closely you should be able to see a cross showing where I am, and I'm going to tell GPS to follow my route and just walk along the wall, and hopefully I can survey the wall simply by walking along the length of it. I've selected start GPS measurement. So in principle now I simply walk on the wall and it records my track, and that's the wall surveyed. So this was the result of my surveying with GPS. Firstly, the shape of the wall is not really correct. Secondly, I'm now back where I started, but my GPS position is not at the start of the wall when I started surveying it. So it's not producing a consistent result. This is one of the annoying features of GPS. And now, according to the GPS track, I'm standing a few yards over there next to the wall. Well, actually I'm standing on the path. Out. There. So something to make sense. So I'm now going to survey something slightly more challenging. There's a depression behind me, which is in the middle of these wood. Extremely difficult to navigate to and fix using conventional methods. Also challenging for GPS because we're in some thick forest here. So, this is the GPS marker on the OCAD map. So to survey this depression, I simply need to click there and the object is surveyed. Another way to do it is I click on Start Measurement as I've got a point feature selected. That's what I need to do to survey the depression. I'm now going to go away and come back and see if I get the same location the second time. So I went for a walk round in the woods, and it's quite challenging around here. It's quite thick woods, and as you see upon my return the cross is pretty much the same place as it was before. So that's the second depression surveyed, and I think that's quite good enough. Certainly far better than any Orienteer can manage. And now GPS is going for a wander. Let's see if it settles down to one place. Seems to have returned back to the original place after a little diversion. You often see that with GPS. Sometimes you have to stand and wait while it settles down. Now it seems to be stable. I've now edited the map, replacing each depression which I surveyed with GPS with a purple dot, and increased the grid spacing to 1 metre. As you can see, the locations recorded are all largely a few metres apart and well within the space taken up by the depression symbol, and there's just a couple of outliers which are a few metres further away. One indication of how good your GPS signal is how many satellites you're showing on this GPS box on OCAD. So I'm currently showing 12, which is pretty good. I've also got a green dot for a thing called DGPS, which means I must have a good view of the satellites that sit above the equator and provide extra information. When I was in the woods just now, I was down to 6 satellites, so obviously my signal was degraded. I'm now standing on a path with much better view of the sky